correct? Tight. Stop. All right. A little fuzz on there. All right. So, hello, everyone out there that's probably not watching. We are here with Twin Oaks. We're here with Lauren and Aaron.
Hello.
Oh.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Andy.
We're getting all exactly. You sound so soothing in my head right now.
The ASMR has begun. Hello, everybody.
In this bitch.
What?
He's like a fucking pro.
I know.
Right? Talk radio. I've always wanted to do this shit. I don't know if have you guys ever seen Pump Up the Volume with Christian Slater?
No, I haven't.
That wasn't a dance instructional video?
No, I'm sure it was.
I
at
feel
some
like it
point.
was though.
But it's Christian
I
Slater.
earned it. Darren's dance grooves.
Pump Up the Volume was.
And then he was like, ain't no lie. Bye, bye, bye. I showed that to Justin. And he just says Justin. What were you talking about?
I don't know. All right. So thank you guys for coming in. This is tight. I've been wanting to just sit and have a conversation with you. I don't know what about. Just I want to get to know you guys as people.
For sure.
Because I like your stuff.
Cool.
So let's start with some basics. What's your mother's maiden name?
So personal.
I don't know. So how long you guys have been doing this for a while?
Yeah, since I don't know, when did we start? Like around
5 years ago, maybe.
you want to say that? No, I think
7 years
I think we started up at like around 2011. It wasn't Twin Oaks just yet at the time, but like we were just fucking around with songs at the time. But am I allowed to say fuck?
Yeah, you can say fuck, shit, everything.
Yeah.
Balls,
Let me get some of them out. Fuck.
Trump. Try not to say Trump too much.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So we started out. 2011. We were just fucking around with a lot of songs. Like I was in other bands at the time, so I had like acoustic stuff that was on the side and was just too embarrassed to sing them. So I.
So he put that on me.
Yeah.
Well, how did you guys meet?
At an Azure Ray concert.
At a what?
An Azure Ray concert.
Azure Ray.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Azure Ray?
Is it Azure Ray?
I don't know. I was repeating you because I've always wondered. Because I know it's like,
I think it's Azure Ray.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right on.
So we met, and it's interesting because he actually was the person who drove me, like, but I didn't know.
Oh, you
him.
guys went with like
Other
friends.
It was like a group. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
Yeah. She hitched a ride with us randomly, and I was
just
just like,
randomly
all right.
standing
You're
there
like,
in
who
the
the
corner.
fuck are you?
This seems safe. Let's pick her up.
But yeah, and then we joined a band like a couple years. Well, you were forming a band with someone like a couple years later.
Yeah.
And I hopped down as a guitarist, and then we did that for like about a little less than a year. And then I was in other bands at the time, and I was writing stuff, and then like remembering working with her, like I just asked her like, hey, would you want to sing on some songs? And that kind of just that's how things happened.
It snowballed after that. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
You guys gone through a lot. Like you guys have gone through like a kind of a rotation of members
Yeah.
Yeah.
for a while. I mean, because I met you guys through Ryan,
Yeah.
and she used to drum for you guys. Shout out to Delavia and shit. She's tight.
Amazing band.
Yeah. She's really good.
Yeah. You guys. Yeah. Now you guys have a new lineup.
Right now, yeah, we do. We have Marilyn and Araldo on
You finally
bass.
got his name.
I did. We called. So when I first met him, everybody was like, "This guy's name is Fonz," and I was like, "Okay."
Fonzo.
So I thought it's
Hey.
Alfonso.
Alfonso.
Yeah, and I was like, Fonzie, cool. That's cool.
You jumped the shark. Hey. That's where that term
And
comes
then
from.
they were like, "That's not his real name."
Yeah, we were
though."
trying to get his real name because we needed to put him on credits. And I was like, all right, what's his real name? And then I got Araldo. And I was like, the hell? And then like,
Where the hell did you get the
yeah,
phone?
Exactly.
Lauren argued with me about
Yeah.
it. I was like, she's
I
like,
was
no, it's
like,
Alfonso. I was like, no,
it's
it's Araldo.
Fonz.
It's Araldo.
Araldo.
Yeah.
So
So
Araldo. Is that with an A or an O?
that's what.
it's with an A.
With an A, yeah.
Araldo.
Yeah.
Araldo Bloom.
That's what this whole podcast will be. Just us
Debating our bassist name.
Look, we got a fucking whiteboard right there, like a dry erase. We're
Let's
gonna
draw a
like,
diagram.
Nice.
But yeah,
That's cool.
but it's a great lineup. They're really solid people. They're great musicians. They're from other bands too.
Oh, cool.
That we played with, and it was interesting because he originally wanted to join the band like after seeing us the first time, but we didn't have like room for, or like we didn't have an idea of bringing a bassist in because we hadn't played with the bassist, you know.
Yeah.
And so we just, what did you do? You just sampled the tracks or something like that, right?
Yeah.
For
Well, a lot of the songs weren't written that way, so I was just covering a lot of low end with guitars, and then our previous guitarist was doing his business
Yeah.
there. So
You guys have been all across the board though, it seems. I mean, and I was gonna say, it's like I love how like I didn't get to see you guys' last couple shows.
Okay.
I haven't seen you guys in a while, which I feel like a total dick for. But like
we haven't hung out in a while.
I know, dude. It's been. I think the last time I saw you is
Fullerton.
when
You guys played at Fullerton.
Fullerton. Yeah.
Amazing show too.
Thank
By the
you.
way.
That's all him. Look at that cutie.
All right, cool.
It's like, what?
No, but like I've seen you guys. You guys have been doing like you guys are putting together light shows and all that stuff. You know, when I first saw you guys, when we first played together, we played in that little joint in like Hollywood.
Yeah, well, I think we also played like a house. I think it was a house show. It was
Yeah.
We did play,
Ryan's house.
Ryan's
Yeah,
house,
yeah.
yeah. And you guys have always kind of had like the visual stuff
Yeah.
going on, but like now you guys are doing like full on light shows.
Yeah.
How the like? I think it's really fucking ballsy. I was talking to Max about it a little bit earlier about how like it's fucking so cool that like, I mean, you guys are like, you guys still kind of have. I want to talk about this too, but like you guys still kind of have this kind of, you know, local status. Like you guys are very indie, but like you guys are putting on shows like no, dude, like you guys are a legit fucking band. You're not gonna go and just allow someone to project whatever like visuals on you like they're gonna do at every show in like Pomona and all that stuff, you know. But like, so what? I mean,
I think that was always just like a thing. I didn't know it would be this band where that would sort of happen, because it started off as like an indie folk
yeah,
thing and more just piled on, and like, okay, like, and then I think it was just after seeing Sigur Rós live last year, and I was just like, all
oh
right.
yeah, we saw you guys there too, right? I saw you there. Yeah. Were you
And
there?
like,
You weren't there.
she wasn't there though.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
missed
Ryan
out,
was there,
man.
though.
Yeah, Ryan was there. I was there with
Yeah.
her. But I don't know. And then like like the first time I've ever seen that go down was with like a band was like the album Leaf, and they did it like at the Glass House, and I don't know, like that's sort of I definitely think for bands it's like important to kind of like, if you have a specific aesthetic and you have the means to go for it, just go. You can do it,
Oh yeah.
and like, you know.
Yeah.
And one of our what our mantra bit is to because we want to work with other artists, other people who are kind of who have the same kind of struggles, as other musicians that are working. And so that was just a key thing, was like, okay, like if we can if we could go ahead and do the lighting and get these visuals, this certain aesthetic, and we want to bring people who we can hire into it, and like, we can trust that we enjoy their work enough to be like, all right, let's collaborate and like turn this all into like one big collaborative thing. Then,
That's cool. So you actually had people like do the lighting stuff with you, or
yeah.
Yeah, we have some people. Like our drummer, she was in her college days, she was in like a lot of techie stuff and like the lighting crews and theater and music. I don't know about theater, but she knew all of them, because it's like once you know one department, you know like a lot of them, especially when it comes to the arts, So she has a lot of friends that would just be like, hey, we want to work with you guys or whatever, and bring our lighting crew or something like that. And so so that's how it kind of developed. And then we had like this idea in our minds, but we didn't think we didn't have the funds to do it,
Yeah.
So it's like finding creatives that would contribute to your vision, I suppose, and then
That's
making it happen,
Yeah.
So we've been fortunate like that.
That's beautiful, dude. And I think that like that's a huge thing that we're trying to like do with this whole thing, is like, like finding those people who are like down. And I think in your guys' case too, you guys are solid as fuck in what you do. You guys are really good at it. So it's like, yeah, people are gonna fucking flock to that and want to be part of it. And we were talking about that. Oh, we had the last podcast. We were talking about all that shit.
Yeah, well, it's like what Ryan was saying in the last podcast.
Yeah.
Or was that the last one?
Yeah.
Previous one, yeah.
Yeah.
That, with any medium, if you have that story, or if you have something that's like with substance, that people are more inclined to gravitate toward that, and then kind of like have their own ideas and things. And Ryan said something else that was cool when he said that, once you create something and you're done with your part of it, that you hand it over to the audience, and then they get their interpretation of it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool when that happens, like internally, you know?
Yeah.
Because like you have a professional lighting specialist
Yeah.
and someone else who's doing visuals, and you're presenting the music to them, and then they're getting inspired by that, and then
Right.
hitting you back with something else,
Right.
and that's cool too, you know?
It's like the whole collaboration of it all.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah. Fuck, I'm like bummed I'm not in the audience. I haven't been in the audience for one of those. When's your guys' next show?
But is it like it's how synchronized is it?
A lot of it, I think, is not as synchronized as it looks.
It just kind of like organically
Yeah, like
happens.
it flows. And it just depends on the individuals, too, because we have some people, like, we have Cash, who will, like, develop something. He wants the set list, and he'll develip everything. And then
Yeah.
he'll, like, be like, okay,
That's
just let
cool.
me go with it, you know?
That's cool.
Yeah, and so we'll play live, and then he does his thing. Ooh, sorry.
And,
As if it's a person.
Right.
Sorry, my friend.
and there's always like this sense of like improvisation that goes on with our sets as well. Like there are like, I don't know, like segues that extend a little bit longer than planned, or
Yeah.
like I don't know, we break into like this instrumental break that like just goes because like everybody's like on it. So it's just giving whoever is doing visuals or presenting it, like just kind of like we always give them that sort of wiggle room to kind of just like, all right, like just feel it out,
Yeah.
like, and that's worked out.
Have you guys been with the
Sometimes we
same team for a while?
For the most part, we work with the same people.
That's
It's like a
cool.
rotation of people.
So
but
they
then,
got. Sorry.
ahead. sorry.
No, I was just gonna say that when you have those improvised moments, they're maybe a little more ready to catch them
Yeah.
in a way.
Like
you know?
they expect it.
Right.
Like a lot of times they'll come into the studio with us and see what we do when we rehearse, you know.
Right.
And so
right.
they kind of like already have an idea of how we are on stage, you know.
Mhm.
And a lot of it is just like we get into the song or whatever, we're emotionally like connected to what we're doing, and then everything just kind of melts away. Like nothing
Awesome.
matters anymore, you know.
Mhm.
So it's like the people are there, but it doesn't resonate with you. I mean, I don't know. For him, maybe it's different, but for me, like they don't really resonate with me too much in that moment when I connect with what I'm doing, and I think they play off of that too. Like they'll catch those moments or whatever, you know. And then he does really cool segues. I don't know if you haven't seen our new live stuff, but he's been doing some like gnarly ass like just video. I can't even.
All that pedal board stuff.
Yeah, it's like the.
This fool tells me
going on?
you're a pedal wizard.
Oh
he
yeah,
is.
it was by accident, I guess. Like
I have to fight you.
Oh, yeah.
That's the rule,
That's
dude.
how it goes.
Yeah.
I always say like
Pedal showdown.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you do
had
like
a,
Hans Zimmer stuff.
no
in between.
I remember I had a comment at like one recent show with someone who had a board that was
Right.
a little bit bigger. And like
It's a
for some
dick
reason I was
measuring
just I realized how much of a dick measuring contest it is,
Funny you mention that.
and I was just kind of like, oh fuck, I no longer have the biggest dick in the room.
Yeah.
There's two things that I always like, cause I'll just say this: I fuck with pedals too, but every once in a while, like someone, it's always a dude that comes up and is like,
Nice gear you got.
Yeah.
is that a Mooger Fooger?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude. You know, and then I always say yes, I have to add one pedal each year because I have a degenerative penis disorder.
I know the feeling. I know the feeling, and it's also, in other cases, it's also the same effects as well.
Like I have like 5 delays on my voice. and shit
I
like that.
have 4 delays and like 3 overdrives sitting on the side. No one needs that many overdrives.
He also has
Don't say
another.
that. Yes, you do. We all do.
He also has another small pedal board. So yesterday he had his pedal board out, and then he's like building another one, because we're tinkering with the idea of me doing stuff. But then like so he's like, I was like, you should just bring both of them on stage. And then we were making jokes like, he's not even gonna use that one. And he's like,
Yeah,
who
it just
gives
won't
a
be
fuck?
plugged
Like,
in.
Yeah,
Just
just
sit
see
there on
who
the side.
notices.
Because that one time though that you do use it, you're gonna be like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like, okay, then the other joke would be like, somebody would say, oh yeah, like that's a nice pedal board or whatever. And I would just be like, yeah, dude, like I keep the flux capacitor like on the bottom of it. And then they actually released a flux capacitor pedal.
Oh shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't know what it does. I don't know if it's like a delay or something, but it has like
It's the thing that
in
makes
there.
time travel possible.
Yeah, I know,
That's
right?
right.
That's
right.
gonna happen.
That's funny.
I used to bag. I mean, I didn't bag on him because I'm not that cool. But anyways, I used to fucking. He had his original pedal board when I first met him was like probably about as long as he is.
Really?
Oh,
It was just fucking. It's
As long as
exaggeration.
my dick.
There it
It was
is.
nowhere.
Tiny.
It was like this long and like filled with pedals and different things, and he had his like his DIs on there and all that shit, and I'm just like,
all
I'm
for
like
bass?
fool, like
bass. Yeah,
for
for
bass.
bass.
And I'm like, fool, I better see you fucking river dancing while you're fucking playing, just like hitting all this shit. Like, it's insane. Now he's got two separate ones. I still don't, maybe I'm not paying enough attention.
I do. I use them all
Yeah?
in our set.
I-
Yeah, I
I've-
use each and every one of them.
Because
Damn.
I've seen him do some crazy, like, because you switched to like just straight up guitar solo.
Yeah, yeah. I did,
Out of nowhere,
yeah.
I'm just kind of like, holy shit, man. It's fucking sick.
We gotta keep up with you, fool.
Ugh.
I feel like a dick because I've got two pedals and they're just for my voice.
The
right?
DL4.
Yeah, or no, was it the
The DD3.
The DD3.
The digital delay.
Yeah.
digital one.
Oh yeah, no, I don't have the DL4 anymore.
Ah.
Yeah, that shit fucking burned out. I
It-
spilled a beer on it.
Oh
like an
yeah, I was
idiot.
there.
Yeah.
It was at DBA. Yeah.
Yeah, I made a fool of myself that night. But yeah, I got those two things, and I just barely like Max just started teaching me fun tricks on the DD3, and he was like, "Dude, check out, you can do this." And I was like, "I didn't know. I just thought it made my voice go wah wah wah." I feel like a dork, and I had like a particle. What's it called?
The particle verb. No, it's the
Oh, is that the panda? Red
It's the
panda
Red
thing?
Panda particle, yeah.
Oh man, that thing.
I had that thing sitting on my fucking board, and like it wasn't even plugged in. Like I felt like an asshole. And it's so dope.
Olive Garden.
That's-
When
that's
you're here,
Your family.
you're just here.
that's one sexy piece of
You
gear.
know? I want this
I
so
want
bad. Like Andy's my friend, but I'll steal it at some point.
I also got a new bass.
No, it's cute though.
Yeah.
I love it. It's hard to let it.
But yeah, I'm trying to get more into the pedal stuff. I just don't think I can do it.
You,
I mean, well, I don't do anything live. I'm not tight.
no, the thing
anymore.
with them is like, you can get all the pedals in the world, but it's like each one's gonna have, you know, distinct things for each song, and it's always like a moving. I don't know, what would you call it?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? There's no-
each piece of like I have a Digidelay, cheap. You can buy one of those for like $40 now, but like
Yeah.
that thing still sticks around. Like I mean I'll remove it from my board from time to time, but like there's just something about that thing. Like it was the very first delay pedal I bought like back in like 2003, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It still works, and like I was writing plenty of songs with that, and yeah, I just think like pieces of gear, even like a guitar or whatever, or you know, a synth or whatever, resonates with you in certain ways, especially when you're like writing songs and
Most
you know
definitely.
you write with those, and that's that just becomes a staple thing, and like and then the combination of these pieces become your sound, your tone,
Mm-hmm.
and like it's weird.
Yeah,
Like,
it is. Yeah, because it
think
can be
that's-
inspiring and frustrating. Like at the
Yeah,
same time, you know?
yeah, for sure.
I'm glad you kind of like. I'm glad you brought that up.
Reset.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because, like, I mean, your guys' stuff, I've seen you guys, like, you guys very much have a sound. You know, you guys very much, and you guys kind of live in that realm, you know, and, you know, the lyrics are very raw. The music is very raw. It's very emotional. And it's like, you guys have really great builds, but then you guys also have great songs where they kind of just stay steady, but it's all very moody, and which I fucking love. You know, it's like, it comes from a deep place and all that stuff. And I notice you guys have like lived in this realm for a while, you know, and it's like, what do you think it is that I guess kind of makes that appealing to stay there? Like, does that have,
Man.
is it the gear? Is it like the state of mind? It's like, what does it become? Like,
Well, do you want
I think it's different for everybody, you know?
yeah,
Like, I don't know that the way I feel about it is what he would feel about it, but I think I like the fact that there's an element of like when people try to compare us, they really struggle. And so I like that element of it, you know, where there's like a cool, like we're doing something different a little bit, just enough that they kind of like, well, like you sound like this, but you also sound like this. If like this got together with the baby, and then like you would be that. Like,
It's like a new flavor.
not with the
kinda,
baby,
you know?
but like if they got together and
If
made
you
a
got
baby.
with a baby.
Like, you can erase that. But yeah, and so I like that. And then I also have admired a lot of bands that have generally been moody, you know? And then, you know, when you write personally, there's that element too. So
Yeah, because
Yeah.
like, well, when it comes down to lyric writing, a lot of it isn't really edited.
no.
Like it's like a lot of the writing just kind of it kind of just happens really. Like I mean, it might just start off with like me playing like I don't know like a chord progression, and I'll just sit with it. And then I could send Lauren a chord progression, you know, like 4 bars of like a verse, and then she'll have something there, like, and that's kind of, and we just build from there, really, and like, we keep lyrics, like the editing's really really light, like as long as it makes some sense, I think.
No.
No.
Let them just not know.
Yeah. But like yeah, like, I mean, I kind of just with a lot of the bands I've listened to, like, because I grew up with like a lot of punk stuff, so
Which is always a good catalyst.
yeah, definitely.
You know, I feel like it's all the musicians I love. They come from this sense of like young, like almost like anger
Yeah.
in a way. Like you have to still retain that in a way, but not to derail you. Sorry.
And well, no, it's also just okay to be like, because like you know, like I think this is this is kind of my weird thing with like a lot of current bands. Things are a little too pristine, I think, and I like the rawness. I like when you can listen to like a record and hear somebody's fuck up in there, and it's
Amen,
like,
dude.
Yeah.
For
and
real.
it just feels human.
Yeah.
And so like we try to retain a lot of that. Like a lot of the vocal takes with Lauren with recording are usually like within 3 takes, because whenever I'm recording other bands, that's usually why I like to stick with, because I don't know, I don't want to tinker with it so much, because like if you can get like whatever's raw out like from the get-go, then like, you know, because otherwise it's just you're rehashing and you're in this cycle, and now it's just
It's lost. It's
it just turns into like, okay, we're just trying to get the part done now,
Yeah.
rather than like pulling out, you know, whatever was in there. And that was always like a thing that we wanted to retain with Twin Oaks, is that sort of punk rock, even though it's not like a, you know, full-on punk band, but like just a lot of, you know.
Well, but you're like you're punk in here and in here. It's not like, you know, up
Yeah.
here.
The
for sure.
fundamentals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds. There's this band called Mr. Gnome, and they're not like super huge, but they've done pretty well, like as far as like being able to go on tour and all that stuff, and like just like whenever they want, you know. It's like they self-produce everything. They created a label. They put themselves on, they made a whole business out of their stuff, which is great.
Fuck yeah, dude.
And with their stuff is like, and we played with them, like, or my old band played with them. They're the nicest people. They're a couple. Their husband, they just had or they're pregnant.
That's cute
right
as
now.
shit.
Yeah.
That's fucking
Congratulations,
mad cute.
Nicole. You're the best.
I like when people are happy.
Right? Sam and
we
Nicole are gonna be great parents.
Sam and Nicole, I don't know you. God bless
You're gonna
you,
be
man. I
the
love you
coolest
so
fucking parents. But one of the things that they said is like, because their stuff is a little bit, it's very hard to place them. Like,
Okay.
it's very hard to place them musically. They're from Cleveland,
Okay.
and their stuff, it can get kind of wild and get kind of like heavy. It gets a little bit psych. It gets a little bit down tempo sometimes. It's kind of all across the board, but like their whole thing. And sometimes they even throw a little bit of like Cleveland like polka in there, which is
That's
kind of
pretty
cool.
What
But
is
in a
that?
very like polka. You know,
What?
Polka music.
that was
I don't know.
Like
that
actual
was from Home. Yeah,
I'll start doing it.
not like necessarily actual. They don't have fucking accordions and like shit like that, but they have like
If they did.
these little like beat shits. But anyways,
Okay.
but they said how they start every song is like, oh, first we write a punk song, and then we deconstruct it and then
Yeah.
reconstruct it. You know,
That's
it's
one
like,
of the coolest
Yeah.
sentences
That's
I've
kinda
ever
cool.
heard.
yeah.
That's tight.
So that's how they write, and they're a 2-piece, and they sound like incredible, like super
Mm.
full and all that. I don't know why I brought that up.
So-
Let's just talk about that.
That's amazing.
I want to talk more about this though,
Okay.
about this whole songwriting thing,
Hmm.
because maybe it's just me, but we're all kind of just doing everyone has their own methods. Some people are really gifted at writing lyrics right off the top or coming up with great melodies, or they're just more groove oriented. They can just, they have chords, but then they go, okay, how do I make this sound fun?
Yeah.
Or how do I make it more appealing, and they can come up with something on the fly. Or to further illustrate that, like for myself, I know that like it's hard for me to write lyrics if I don't have, or come up with melodies that stick, like if I don't have like a strong narrative.
Okay.
And I don't try to make like concept music all the time,
Hmm.
but I have to know
You have to have a
from that-
direction.
exactly before, then I can go, I write these words and it's got to sound like this,
Yeah.
and it has to have this many syllables and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And Andy mentioned something to me earlier about I wasn't even familiar with this in this term, but like a memory mansion. You ever heard of that?
No.
Where like it when you told me it sparked this whole thing, but like basically that when you are trying to remember something, you compartmentalize like different things to kind of like chain it all together.
Oh, like Sherlock Holmes's mind palace.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
that sounds even tighter.
Exactly. Yeah,
Good
exactly.
read.
Exactly.
Because he's also Doctor Strange, and then
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. played Sherlock too.
Yeah.
That's fucked
The
up.
conspiracy
It's
is real.
cool, man. It's like, oh man.
But yeah, the mind palace. It's the same thing. Same,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I think that's important to know, and it's cool to talk about it
Okay.
because, our I would imagine that our audience is going to be a lot of like creative minds and what have you, but you can kind of speed up your creative process a lot more when you know how you respond to navigating through making something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Like different inputs and kind of helping your songwriting process.
right,
Right.
because you might think that like, oh man, like I have a writer's block. Like I can't, like all this stuff sounds lame. Just like I'm playing the same thing over and over again, or like I'm singing this and it sounds whack. But then randomly sometimes you'll just like shift gears and you realize like, oh, it's because I wasn't doing X, Y, or Z.
Right.
And then you now have opened that door and now it doesn't bug you the same. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
kind of when I realized like, okay, like you said, I have to have a narrative,
yeah.
then I can write lyrics. So
Yeah.
now I know going forward, I need a narrative first. That's how I can write after that. So
For sure.
I kind of I was curious, what's your guys' thing? Like, when does the song really start to snowball for you guys?
Man, it's so different. Like I don't know. That's such a good question. I feel like with us, the concept comes after. So like
Mhm.
it's really strange because a lot of times he'll write something, and then it'll be like, okay, I really like this, or I dig this, and here's some chords, and here's a progression that I'm working on, and it sounds really solid. And then whatever I feel in the moment, I just kind of barf out, which sounds awful.
It's
Yeah.
But it's
No, I
like,
think it's good.
yeah, it's like whatever that channels, like whatever emotion that channels in me, then I go with it,
Mhm.
and then I just see like where it takes me essentially, and then
Yeah.
I give it back to him. So it's kind of like we're playing catch essentially.
That's
you know
cool.
what I mean?
pretty much.
Because then I throw it back to him, then he goes, oh, okay, this is good, and he'll like come up with all these
Mhm.
crazy riffs, and he'll come up with like the pattern of how the song is laid out,
Mhm.
and he'll throw it back to me, and then sometimes I'll deconstruct it and be like, no, this should be here, or there
Mhm.
should be a bridge here, or whatever. So it's very much like, I guess you could say, a team effort.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
Because I think it was because there was like after we had put out I think it was after White Noise.
Yeah.
There was like a slight detachment with the songwriting that was going on at that time. Because I think we were like you were trying to write. I think it was just forcing more it's kind of weird, but like we
Yeah.
were forcing more positive songs at that time. Like
Mhm.
Yeah.
because we were always just like in this one space, and we were just kind of like, okay, let's try something different. During the time we were writing White Noise,
Was it just
Yeah.
for the sake of trying something
I
different?
think it was just for the sake of it,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
and like, I mean, I love the songs off there, so but like I know like you had like a little bit of disconnect.
I
with
mean,
a lot of
and
what-
I think too, a lot of times, like, you'll find that when you're writing, your personal life will seep into what you do, period. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, like, where I was in that point in my life, I was not vulnerable whatsoever. Like, I wasn't allowing myself to be vulnerable whatsoever. Like, it just, like, shut down. And I feel that disconnect in the music. I feel it translating through the lyrics. And there were times where I would sing the lyrics and I would just be like, I don't feel anything. You know what I mean? Like, and when you have those moments, it's very clarifying, because it's like you can't affect anything or the world or like change anything if you can't actually connect and mean what you're saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I had to like be real with myself. I was like, okay, if the songs are gonna get better, like obviously they're getting better as musicians as we progress, and their songwriting is getting better. And if I want to be up to par with them, then I have to be real with myself. Like, what's enabling me from writing like solid music? And so I was just like, okay, I have to be vulnerable. I have to talk about the stuff I know. And that was the part that it was like, holy shit.
that was the holy shit moment.
Yeah, and then living rooms came from that, where I came up with
a little bit of collapse was there in there too.
Oh yeah, collapse was there a little bit too.
If I may interject, there's something that's been reoccurring to me all the time, where it's like, you have the hardest substance we know on Earth. This is not a dick joke. The hardest substance we know on Earth is a diamond.
Yeah.
Right. So until we get Space Force and we get out there and we find out what's might be more dense than that,
right?
We have the diamond, right? But the way diamonds are made, you might have to fact check this too, but I'm pretty sure.
Fact check.
Have
Give
your
me one
Google
second. Let me just
search
go
out.
ahead. Let me get revved up here a little bit. So anyway, it's a diamond.
Shine
Right?
bright like
Okay.
a diamond.
Shine bright. Exactly.
Right.
She had it right. She had it right. Shine bright like Rihanna's forehead.
I love Rihanna.
So I do.
Shout out to
She's a
Rihanna.
fellow islander. I'm half Jamaican. So what's up, my girl? My gal. Dirty gal. Diamonds are made like with pressure. That's the
Yeah.
part I wanted to fact check, right?
Yeah.
So you have this pressure that forms this thing, and what really makes a diamond beautiful or something that people really want is all the facets to it.
Yeah.
And I think that when we make music and when we make art, it's very similar to that, because you have like this thing that was formed by some form of pressure,
Right.
and then after that it had to still be like etched into this nice beautiful
Stone.
thing. And that's kind of like the whole process. You could take it like in any aspect of the creative process. It could be when it's done or when it's being created. It's like, you cut a little bit off here, you cut a little bit off here and over here, and it could be like, I want to make things more positive sounding for the sake of positivity,
Yeah.
and a little bit gets cut off right there, that gets tossed over to you,
Yeah.
and then you realize, okay, I have to be more vulnerable, cut a little bit off right there,
Yeah.
and then eventually you have this beautiful thing that people resonate with,
For sure. For sure.
I think the thing with that though is like that's such a obviously when you're doing something, especially with your guys' style of music, and it's like our approach is kind of the same thing, like I have to fucking do the exact same thing. It's like I get music and it's like I'm gonna vomit sounds before they're even words, and words that don't even make sense.
Yeah.
And until and it's just kind of a stream of consciousness thing where it's like, okay, I said a sentence and it sounds like a full sentence. I'll listen back and I'll be like, okay, what does that mean? And I got to listen to it over and over again. And I'm like, what is my subconscious trying to tell me right now?
For sure.
Right.
And then you do that whole thing and you're like, okay, shit. Okay, well, there's something wrong now. And then, well, good. I can be honest about it and I can figure it out through the song and all that stuff. So it's like, it's good to be able to say, okay, I'm going to be vulnerable now. I'm going to figure this out and I'm going to write something with meaning. But there's also a fucking danger in that.
For sure.
When you're opening that fucking door,
That floodgate.
you're just like, oh, fuck, wait. There was all these things that I wasn't ready to handle. I was just trying to write a fucking song. I'm really depressed.
You're just like,
There's this crazy fucking thing that happens, but that's it's such a fucking beautiful thing that you can even do that,
Right.
to make something, to make a song for other people to listen to or whatever. But it's like, I think it's really important to because I see it, I've always seen it okay, if I'm going to do that shit, I'm going to treat every song like a Ghostbuster trap.
yeah.
Right? Where you catch,
Open it up and pull it back.
yeah, full blown. But it's like, okay, so there's a ghost out there and it's running amok in my fucking head, So it's like,
Sure.
it's destroying everything, sliming people and all that shit. And I have this whole thing. So it's like I get to write a fucking song and I toss out the trap and I capture it and I get to like have it here. And it's like now that problem lives in that song.
And you get that.
Maybe I don't have to take it with me.
You get that
Yeah.
You know?
that sweet ass ecto cooler.
Yeah.
Remember that shit?
Ecto Cooler, dude.
It was
That
high C.
C.
Yeah, but they were like, hey, let's brand this with a ghost. Ecto cooler.
That's funny. Yeah, for sure. And I think too, it's important. Like when you're in the process of writing music, like you obviously want to perform things that like are honest and true to you, you know.
Absolutely.
And so it's like that's such a hard. I don't know, like I can't say for everybody, but I know for myself, like it's such a hard thing to do when you have so many opinions like floating around you.
Yeah.
Where it's like you'll write something and you'll be like, this is awesome. Like I can listen to, because like one of my tests that I have with Aaron is if I can't listen to it more than 4 times, it's not going out. You know, like I have to be able to listen to it 4 times or 5 times over
Adrian
and over
hates
again.
that shit. I do the same thing.
Like if it doesn't appeal to you enough.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Like
okay.
if I can't be my own fan about it, and it's not like in a weird way. It's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Totally.
I don't think that's weird at all. It's not even narcissistic. It's just like, you know, to a larger or lesser extent, you know, you are making music that you want to listen to.
For sure.
Right. So,
And like
yeah.
be proud of, you
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. You got to stand by it.
Yeah.
Because it's
like,
gonna stick with you for
Forever.
You're gonna be playing shows and people are gonna be demanding that song.
Yeah.
yeah.
You're gonna be like, fuck.
And we definitely have some songs that I will never play live, you know? It's like you have those, and it's interesting because one of our songs that I refuse to play live, it gets played in the UK all the time on a radio station.
What
At
song
the
is
time
that?
was
I won't have.
I want to know what it is. All right, tell me off camera.
But yeah, I think that like when you're writing, it's just like you want to try to stay as honest and true to yourself. A lot of times too, because people are gonna take whatever you put out and they're gonna run with it. You know,
Yeah.
like once you release it to the public, it's theirs. It's
theirs.
no longer yours.
Exactly.
And like no matter what it means to you when you're writing it, it's now the interpretation of the viewer, you know, or the listener. So yeah, I don't know.
I thought about that too, because in our previous podcast, that was what Ryan said too.
Mhm.
The same thing I had reiterated earlier. It was like, you know, you hand it off, and then like I remember I was watching this thing, and it was like the behind the scenes of Animal House.
I don't know that.
Like no, it's like the old like it was like National Lampoon, right?
Yeah,
National
yeah.
Lampoon Animal House.
Animal House, you know,
Yeah.
college movie.
So it's a college movie.
I'm
Like
gonna
you
say,
know,
get it?
with Jim Belushi. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he spits out all the mashed potatoes and
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay.
Anywho, but they made it, and there was a ton of jokes in it. I mean, just they crammed jokes into that movie left and right.
Okay.
And this one less important actor in the movie was talking about a scene he did, and he just said he went to the premiere, and people were cracking up about this other joke, and then he said his line, and people were still laughing about the other joke, and his line totally got like breezed over.
Yeah.
And he was like saying like, oh no, but like they didn't laugh at my joke, that one was funny too.
Yeah.
And I thought it like it's kind of like that thing that happens when you make something and then you hand it off,
Yeah.
and yeah, people could go like The Room, you know, people are like, oh, this is a comedy,
Oh yeah.
you know what I mean?
Sure.
And Tommy Wiseau's like, no, it's good movies, you
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
Like it's true to my soul.
it's me, you know
But it's
what I mean?
fucking funny, dude.
But he's still happy that people watch it, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I think it's kind of cool. It's like the last lesson
Yeah.
in making it is
Yeah.
that then people go,
At
oh,
the end
it's
of the
this to
day-
me, you know?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, whatever you make is going to be whatever the fuck it wants to be
For sure.
because of how it's perceived or received by anyone else. It's like you can spend all this time constructing this thing, trying to make it perfect to your fucking liking, and at the end of the day, it is whatever it wants,
Yeah.
which is cool because like
That's when you know it's
that thing.
good.
Because it
Yeah.
has
Right?
life.
Yeah,
that thing
when it
has life
its own
at that
life. When
point.
it's its,
Yeah.
its own entity, that's when you know, like, okay, we made something cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I hope so.
But I'm glad you brought up like songs being played in the UK and all that stuff because that's something I want. Like I feel like I'm so curious because like I mean I looked up, you guys have on Spotify, you guys have like over 7,000 monthly listeners,
Yeah.
right, and all that stuff, and I'm like, holy shit, that's fucking awesome.
That's tight.
That's a big number, you know, and well,
So I'm gonna tell mom and dad about it. That's tight.
I know.
You know, that's,
His face is like,
no, I mean
don't get all
somebody,
bashful. Don't be blushing.
you know, one of your
It's
tracks
tight.
in particular has like over 100,000 plays and all that stuff, and
Yeah.
which is great. I mean, speaking of all that stuff, it's like, yeah, okay, well, these are the things that you know, everyone kind of aspires to get when you're kind of more of an underground band, you know, and you don't have that stuff. And you guys, I remember the first show we played with you guys. I went outside to smoke a cigarette, and Ryan was out there, and I was talking to her about like we had just got we were getting eyeballed by some labels, and like, you know, and we ended up joining one, and you know, I was like, yeah, dude, so we got this stuff, and I didn't know anything about your guys' band other than what I'd seen you guys play, and I was like blown away by it. And I was like, you guys should be, you know, like this big thing and all this stuff. And then she was like, oh yeah, like Aaron and Lauren don't really like to like go for that stuff. They're really about, you know, just being independent and self. And I'm like, that's so fucking dope. And you guys have been able to do that. Like, fucking how?
That's funny.
Oh man. I don't know how it happened, to be honest. Like, well, okay, so like, I mean, the radio play stuff. So, we could start. We could go back there. I think that's where, like, if we're gonna pinpoint, like, I don't know, like a
where the traction started.
Yeah, where things started happening. Tom from Gold
from MySpace.
No.
Oh,
shit! Sorry.
Imagine.
That was so cool.
Well, yeah. Millions of
where is he now?
I think that's where our momentum kind of kicked up because it was just like a random blogger from UK.
Tom from Gold Flake Paint.
Gold Flake Paint, yeah.
So for all you DIYs, reach out to him.
Tom.
I don't think he's doing that anymore.
Oh, don't reach out to him.
He no longer cares.
Do you know his full name?
Oh my gosh, why did I just?
Don't know. I'm not gonna make it up.
It's yeah.
He's British.
He's British. Yeah.
Okay, so look, that's enough.
I'm went over my like I
British Tom Gold Flake Paint.
I'm a creep. I'll just put it out there. Okay, like look, Tom. He's British. He used to work at a thing called Gold Flake Paint. Twitter, do your thing. Find that bitch.
But yeah, like because like we had just put out at the time we put out 2 songs. That was Not an Exit and Seller from like the very like EP that people cannot find.
Seller. Yeah, Seller.
So like
Not an Exit is a great title.
Yeah.
I like that.
I don't know where.
A sign, literally just a
literally
sign
just
that says, not an exit. I was like, there it is.
Well, now you ruined it.
Well, not great anymore. Thank you.
But I think that's where the like the idea of like, you know, just that's where like the momentum kind of kicked for us a little bit, where I was like, okay, let's see what happens, because like we put out 2 songs on Bandcamp, and within the weekend, this Tom from Gold Flake Paint emails me saying like, "Oh yeah, I just wrote this piece about you guys. Here you go. You could share it and whatnot." And I was like, "Oh crap, okay." Like, I
You didn't send it to him, like
he
just found it.
He just found it, and then I was like, okay, well, like let's try pitching it to other, you know, like we start pitching to other just other DIY bloggers within the UK and New York and stuff like that, and people were digging what we were putting out. So, you know, we released the EP by that time, and then I found out about a independent-based radio station called Amazing Radio. They're kind of the equivalent of, I guess, KCRW out here. Mm-hmm. And they had like open submissions for bands, so I was like, all right, you know, I'll go ahead and submit, you know, a couple songs off of this EP. And we get an email again next week, like, oh yeah, we're gonna play your songs gonna be playing on this particular show. That particular show was Simon Raymond of the Cocteau Twins.
No,
wow, that's fantastic.
And so he played that song, and I was like, oh crap, okay. And then like a little bit of traction there. And then we put so like we were still just a duo at the time. We weren't thinking about playing shows yet. We were still just like, okay, we gotta write more songs and like kind of develop this band a little bit more. So after that, like we worked on EP number 2, which mini album number 2, which is the Lion's Den stuff. Like that's the stuff that like more people kind of know about. And
not many shows at all this whole time.
No shows.
No shows.
At that
No
time. We were
shows.
just
Yeah.
writing
I have like extreme stage fright.
during that, especially during that
Yeah,
time.
during that time.
I think
you
both
do
of
too.
them.
So
Yeah,
you
both of us.
understand. It's like you have to be wasted, and then
No,
at
no,
that
no,
point,
no,
you're
no,
not
no.
even making
He
sense.
loves the attention. Don't
Okay.
worry. He's slowly starting his stand-up career when we play. Don't even let him.
I've gotten slightly better, but I have to be hammered.
Yeah.
I think
I used to throw up before every show.
holy shit.
Yeah.
My first
It's a great way
show,
to lose pounds before a show.
Yeah, there is.
my first show, I played with my back to the audience. I would not turn around.
Oh
Calm
yeah.
down,
I
Jim
refuse.
Morrison.
So you just
Yeah.
so
I
you
copied
just-
him.
He's been
No,
an artist since
I
day
was-
one.
Yeah, exactly. That's just being art.
just
Yeah.
fear. I guess the art is
No,
fear.
just don't. It's art.
Dude, I'm
All right, I'll roll with
I'm-
it.
I'm so art, dude.
Exactly.
You know what I
But-
did?
So sorry.
But yeah, we and then like the second EP came out. We pitched. We threw more songs at that station, and like they were playing us, and like the main radio station producer at the time, Tom Cotton, was interested in, because I guess he was in the midst of forming a label within Amazing Radio at the time, so they wanted to they were interested in what we had going forward. Unfortunately, like he had left by the time we had finished the album,
Yeah.
we put out we put stuff out to them, and then we were putting stuff up on Spotify, and all of a sudden songs were showing up on Spotify editorial playlists.
That's cool.
I didn't even find out about them until they don't email you or anything. Like I just kind of like I'm
That's interesting.
Like, I'm gonna see
Yeah.
how we're doing. Like,
yeah, it's one of those like, or like I don't know, like you find out about, okay, there's a new editorial Spotify playlist that's up, like a band that you're really interested in, and you're just kind of like, oh, I wonder if, you know what, I wonder, and then like lo and behold, something was up, and I was like, oh shit, just like
That's
stop.
awesome.
Nice.
So it was just, and then I don't know, and then like the new and notable section on Bandcamp, and like guys from Bandcamp saying like, hey, if you got new stuff, email me, and like we'll pitch it, or we'll feature you guys.
Yeah.
So it was just a whole lot of just like it was a lot more random than
Yeah.
Well,
you
not
know.
really. I mean, it actually presents an interesting picture, because it's like the landscape now is like you can release something, and then 5 years later somebody goes, hey, I just heard this thing and it's really cool, and then you guys are still doing stuff and it gets picked up, and it's cool because people are listening,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and there are actually like viable and resourceful like entities that are actually taking the time to listen to independent,
Artists.
not signed
Yeah.
artists that are
Yeah.
actually out there like looking for this stuff.
For sure.
So that's cool.
Yeah, and I think like that sort of just shines some light on the whole project of just like, okay, like that's the important thing. Like that's like as long as someone is out there connecting with the music, with Lauren's words in some way, and which you've gotten some really, really touching emails
Yeah.
from people in the past about some of the stuff that we've put out, and I think like that over time, like that hit us a lot more, and like we're just kind of like, all right, like that's what matters, I think.
The real
more
like
so.
impact.
Yeah,
on other
Yeah.
people,
like,
right?
I think at first you start off and you're just doing it because you love it, right?
Mhm.
And then you're doing it because you want to try to make some part of you proud, or some part of you.
You're
be
trying
like,
to shine bright like a diamond.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I
you're
feel that.
trying
I
to
fuck
be
with
like, I can be Kanye,
Thank you, Kanye. Very cool.
No,
But the
no,
old
I don't want to
Kanye.
be Kanye, but
The old Kanye.
yeah, like
Yeah.
anyway.
You know,
Um,
when his jaw was wired shut.
yeah.
See that? That's what it
You
was.
caught
His
it.
jaw was wired shut.
I thought in my head, I was like, no one will know unless they see the motion.
Exactly.
Please don't come for us.
Let him. He's like this tall.
Even so, if he comes first, that means someone saw this.
Yeah,
Let someone
and
saw
it's
this.
all, it goes back to the
If he's
point
coming
that we're
after us,
making
then-
it.
He's gonna drive down from Calabasas. He's gonna drink all of our LaCroix,
Yeah.
and fuck.
I can't wait to get my first like lawsuit or like cease and desist because like someone's watching.
Hey, that means they.
I made it. Mom, I made it. I'm getting
Someone is
sued.
watching.
Right.
That's so funny.
Get sued enough, you might be president.
Oh, that's horrible. Only in the U.S.
Maxie, how could you?
Remember, kids, I'm pro-fascism, provided that I'm the fascist leader.
Everything looks good on paper.
Yeah.
So you guys are famous and shit. That's where we left off.
No, we're not.
People
No,
like
I
you.
think it's
That's
like
cool.
you get like silent warriors. You know what I mean? Because we don't know any of the people that
Like
are
a ninja.
yeah, and they're kind of just rooting for you on
That's
the
tight.
sidelines. And like, I think if you can establish those, you have a lot better chance of making it as a DIY artist.
As a DUI artist.
As a DIY artist, which is where I will be next. No, I'm just kidding. No, as a DIY artist, than anything else.
Yeah.
And so we started making the music for ourselves. And then when they started writing, like I got letters from some people that are dealing with some serious stuff, you know? And then when you have like those kind of moments where they're like, hey, this helped me get through this, or your song impacted me this way, then it's not only just doing it for the fun of it, it's like, oh, there's an actual purpose to this. You know what I mean? Like it kind of creates even a deeper substance, and it makes you more invested in it.
Have you guys seen any like Twin Oaks tat?
Yeah, we
like,
actually do.
fan art
Yeah.
type
We
stuff?
have a picture of one
That's
of the
awesome.
tattoos on our
That's fantastic.
Tight.
That's so
yeah.
cool.
And it's a cool tattoo too. Like I really like it. I wouldn't put it on my body. But I love the person who did it.
That's
so
awesome.
It's cool.
That's really cool.
How do you respond to something like that though? Like when you get
You gotta give
Something
them,
like
give them
that.
$100.
right.
You
That's
gotta
it.
pay them off.
So we released a music video that almost nobody saw, but like someone heard the track. And what was it? What did it say?
Oh
on the,
yeah,
Dead weight.
that was good.
It was for our track Dead Weight. What
That
did it
was
say?
good.
It said something about like, oh, I
someone's-
needed this song. I just had it, or they
Oh,
talked about
Your friend had-
one of my friends
just
killed-
passed
or
away.
No, yeah, he didn't kill himself. He just passed
No,
away.
he just passed away. And I needed this song or something
Yeah.
like that. And he was talking about like he just needed to hear that song. His friend just died and all that shit. And I was like, sorry. Like I didn't know what to say to it. Like I was just like, I wanted to tell him like I'm sorry. But I was like, thank you.
Yeah, it's weird. That
Yeah,
was my exact response. Like, oh, that was my response. Well, like I'd see it, and I'm just like, Lauren.
Yeah.
Like, do you guys respond to that stuff?
I do.
She does.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good.
I respond
fantastic.
to all
great.
the people who write me. Yeah, because I remember being 16 and going through hell, and then being
Yeah.
like going to a show just to hear that one song that
Fuck yeah.
made me feel good about life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And so like
Absolutely.
I don't ever want to lose that part of myself that wants to reach out to the people who want to reach out to me.
And
'Cause
also,
if-
you don't want the people listening to like lose that as well.
Yeah.
yeah, I want to like perpetuate that, because I mean the truth is like that's why music's fantastic, right?
I mean, yeah,
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
We've all.
I mean, you forget, dude. You forget. I feel like so many people get fucking lost in that. Like, I know I'm guilty of like, it's like for me, I'm just like, I'm trying to figure out what the fuck is wrong with me. So I'm just gonna say this shit, and like I forget that like people are listening.
Yeah.
You know, you forget that people are listening. You forget all that shit, and you're just like, oh fuck.
Like
Now
if
I
it-
feel selfish.
for sure. It like it is kind of therapeutic when you're writing, and like I said, you're doing it for yourself for the most part, in
Yeah.
the like in the initial stages. But once you release it, there's a bigger purpose in it all. And I mean, you can choose to respond to it, or you can choose to just collect royalties or whatever it is. Whatever, yeah, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
whatever your prerogative is, like to each their own. But you know, for me personally, it's just I like the emotional part. I like being able to like know that there's someone listening on the other side of the world that is like, hey,
Totally.
this means something to me, you know?
Fuck yeah.
It's really fantastic.
It is fantastic. Oh, nice word choice there. Yeah, because I mean, look, I just want to say, like, fucking, we've all heard the song "Stand" by Eminem.
Mm-hmm.
We can't have that shit.
You know? You know?
You got 5 ways to get a hold of somebody nowadays. You know, it's gonna be like, hey man, I heard you're pregnant with your daughter and shit. I'm finally writing you back. It's like, bro, you know what? Just like DM the guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
This song wouldn't exist if that happened now, because he would have just been like, liked his picture. And
Yeah.
I would have been like,
No,
oh
it's
man,
totally cool.
Eminem loves me back. Yeah.
I was totally gonna kill my girlfriend, but Eminem liked my picture.
I'm good
Woo,
now.
I feel good. No. Put those. Yeah, we're good. We're fine.
Yeah, exactly.
But what do you? I mean, maybe.
But it's important.
It's
What do I
not.
say?
I was gonna
people.
say it's like maybe it's a little too personal to get into that, and I guess it's entirely dependent on exactly what the message is. But
For sure. Like if it's just like super simple stuff, just be like thanks for
Yeah.
like caring.
yeah,
And then if it's super personal, like I mean, I just try to talk to them like if I would my own friend,
that's
And I'm
true.
not like I don't take it on like I'm not like trying to be a counselor.
Yeah,
by
yeah,
any
yeah.
means.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah,
That's a
because
good
that's the
idea.
most important thing. It's like, yo, dude. I mean, I did
'Cause
that
then-
because I haven't figured it out
Yeah.
yet. But like,
Yeah.
I
Then you
feel
could
I
also get a
understand
stand letter that way. Like Lauren said this.
you. Yeah.
So this is why I did this. I'm like,
You know what though? Like to that effect, I like what James Blake said something pretty cool about that.
What?
Where he was like saying that if you like seek counseling amongst your peers,
yeah.
you're gonna you're gonna hear your own opinion reflected back onto you, or they're just gonna be like, dude, I don't know,
Yeah.
or whatever. But if you go to like a professional, they're gonna teach you. They're gonna see like that like underlying thread of everything, and they're
Mhm.
gonna help you navigate through that. And then
For
he
sure.
ended that statement with saying like, but prepare to be challenged.
Yeah.
So I think that you do a better service to people by saying like, look, I'm in the same boat too, but I'm glad it resonates with you,
For sure.
versus like you said, trying to play counselor and being
Yeah.
like, yeah, I got the time, and
Yeah.
trying to go that whole route.
And you don't know the whole story, There's
Absolutely.
like their version and then there's real life and then there's whoever else is involved.
Everybody sounds right until you hear the other person.
For sure.
Yeah,
And so
so-
it's like just being real with people. Like, if it's something super serious, I always just be like, counseling is a thing. Do it.
It's
You
good.
know?
It's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's absolutely good.
But anyway,
Yeah.
that got really serious really fast.
But it had like a positive. Like,
Yeah, but it's a,
For
it's,
sure.
a, it's a
it
good
felt
thing
good,
because
you
it's
know?
like, and it's nice though because you get. I mean, just to know that people can feel that way about anything is fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
But like to know that they don't that there are that this is why I feel like it's so fucking important that there are those fucking independent there are those DIY fucking heroes that they don't need to be fucking on the fucking radio and being just blasted in your face. Everyone's marketing the shit out of them. That there are these people, and it should teach people a little bit more to look. I don't
Between
know,
the lines,
exactly.
or whatever you want to call it,
Like,
or not what's
under not
Yeah.
what's directly
Just-
presented to you.
Mhm.
Go out and look for something because that's the real shit right there. That's what you're gonna resonate with.
Yeah.
That's what's gonna get you through a night.
For
Yeah.
sure. And I think that's kind of lost with this new generation, because I remember when I was, and I blame technology, but
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
as we speak into a podcast.
Please continue. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
we agree with you.
But because when I was younger, it was like you didn't care who was playing. You just went to the venue, like
Yeah,
the showcase
definitely.
in Corona, or you know what I mean, like
What was it? The
chain reaction.
chain reaction.
Yeah, and like yeah,
You could just go out and see a band
yeah,
back then.
and it was like
Yeah.
you knew one band, but you went for every band because it's like they might suck, and that's a great joke, or
it was the
they might be
experience.
great,
yeah, for sure.
It was
Yeah.
about the experience.
Yeah.
For sure, and it's giving like music a chance. I think now it's like I won't say that, I don't know, I'm gonna say this very delicately, but a lot of people let media tell them what is great, or like they
Absolutely.
let the popularity, like the popular bands, take the ream of what they like, for say, or like what their taste is made of or whatever. And I'm not saying this right, but
No,
I agree
absolutely.
with you. It's like
yeah,
I saw these people, or these two dudes. They had on. I'm gonna bring this home, I promise. But they had on
Go, bro.
they had on shirts, and the shirts said, "Beard lives matter."
okay,
The reason why that was irritating to me was because I was like, a beard is not a personality.
no,
It's not a personality trait. It's like that one meme, it's like
Yeah.
the guy's like looking at the butterfly. It's like a from an anime, and he's just like, it'll say like craft beer, and he's like, is this a personality? You know what I mean? And it's similar to that because it's like, this like popular thing gets presented to people,
yeah,
or it's funny because it's not even popular yet. It just gets presented to people, and then because it was put on their plate,
yeah,
that's what they go, oh, well, this is who I am,
for sure,
you
for
know,
sure.
and it goes like that. So
And then you let really great bands that wouldn't normally get discovered because they maybe don't have like the money to buy the ad space or whatever.
No.
They let them fall by the wayside, which is like crazy to me because I remember, you know, Azure wasn't a big band when we saw them,
Oh.
and that's where we met. So it's like you kind of like find those little things I see now in the music industry that kind of bum me out a little bit. Let's talk about that actually because
Yeah,
Let's talk
absolutely.
about whatever you want to talk about.
Absolutely.
I put gavel.
Do
No,
it.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Law and Order noise.
Yeah. But yeah, like it's really easy to lose yourself as an artist in the industry now.
Definitely.
I feel like that more so than it may have been back in the day. When we first started, it wasn't as prevalent either.
Yeah, well, because there's also social media and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
people have this knack to, or like this urge to, like, make themselves, you know, like 100 times more than what's actually going on. I think.
Yeah, like you have like a fucking, if you look at their fucking Instagram and shit like that, it's like they have like all the different, you know, the
Right.
one image that makes up all these different things, but that's their entire fucking
That's their
Instagram
entire
page.
Yeah.
And it's like it's just a bunch of those images, and it's like, yes, this is a clean Instagram.
And it's just your
like-
album cover.
Exactly. And it's like, it's like, cool, you got a fucking theme going on here, but on your fucking social media. But who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
You know?
Like they're missing the realness to themselves, I guess. I don't know.
And
There's no like life in it.
No substance.
no substance. Yeah, that's been a weird thing that I've been like sort of like going back to, like how everything's just so pristine nowadays. Like, because I remember indie rock being, you know, like going to the dive bar and seeing like a band that can barely play their instruments, but like the dude is up there like just belching and like, you know, putting out 100% of, you know, the band's putting out 100% of themselves.
Yeah.
And like now, I don't know, like I talked with Lauren about this. Like I have like a weird what was I saying? It was just about like these
Oh, when-
pretty boy indie bands.
Yeah. He doesn't trust people who look too clean.
Like they look like the Strokes.
Yeah.
But like,
Exactly. If they look too clean, he's like, nope. Like before I'm like, give him a chance, and then they play, and then we're like, all right, we're out. But
I'm right. No, I'm right there with you. I'll just like if I see somebody like that, I'll just be like,
Yeah, it's
I'm gonna
weird.
kick this dude's ass.
It's weird. Like
It
I
is,
don't know.
it is,
Like
it is.
It's
It's phony.
yeah,
It's fucking phony, dude.
I think with all that though, it's like I think it's created phony fans though.
yes.
Like
Yes.
because
I
I
think so.
and I talk about this so much, dude. Like I cannot stand like bands like you, bands like Minds Falls, right?
Yeah.
Which great fucking guys, loved them. Like they were sick as fuck. I didn't get to go see you guys play together. And
we were right up. We were
I
right
know.
the other way too.
I know. Fucked
Yeah.
up. But you know, bands like you guys, it's like you guys require attention. You guys deserve attention. You know,
you.
undivided attention. Like, okay, like I want to go see Sigur Rós, right? We went to the Sigur Rós
yeah.
show. Okay, were you in the pit?
Yeah. It was.
Lucky son of a bitch. I'm too old for. Or I felt like I was too old for that shit, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go sit up in the fucking balcony. Right?
You guys got the
No,
best.
but I was like, I got like
Walk
the
your
best
ass down there.
It's not that. It's not that.
Oh
It's just that I got off work, and I think it was a shoot day.
a wall of death.
It was a fucking boat. No, but I was just like, fuck, dude. I've been at work all day. I'm so tired. It was a fucking weekday.
If you
I
would
just
have
want to
said
sit
your
down.
feet hurt, I would have believed you, dude.
My feet hurt.
All right, fair. Okay, come on. Sorry.
Yeah, that's why I needed to sit down. Because I knew it. Because it was a shoot day. Anyways, whatever. So I go see this stuff, and all these assholes up there. Like, first of all, they didn't even shut off the lights back
up
there.
there?
And I'm like, you motherfucker. There's a brilliant, beautiful light show going on.
I
I'm
thought
gonna-
you guys had like the best version because like I'd see videos from up there. I'm like, oh man, you guys are getting everything.
It sucked. And people are talking.
Oh, what's
And I'm like-
bullshit.
And they're laughing, and I'm like, shut the fuck up, dude. You're at fucking Sigur Rós right now. Like,
Yeah.
you're supposed to be crying, you piece of shit. You know, like, just so pissed off. Like, but this is what I see. So I see bands like your guys's, and I see bands like Minds Falls, and it's like, you guys need that. Like, that type of music warrants that kind of fucking respect. Where it's like, look, this is emotional, this is raw, this is what is happening. I mean, and you know what? Most people fucking deserve that shit. Like, shut the fuck up when the band's playing.
Yeah.
We went to go see, we went to go see Nils Fromm.
Oh,
All right.
How was
no.
that?
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yes.
Oh,
Because that
no.
venue would, like, Sigaros and that venue would have been bitching.
I would have died. I would have died happy. I would have been like, dude. And what
I'm
was it called?
die.
The Cathedral.
Manual Presbyterian.
yeah.
Yes.
That's at that
It was at a
church.
church.
The
How
church.
It's in, like, the heart of
cool.
K-Town.
Yeah.
You would never guess that this
That's
amazing, unless you've been there.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. It's a great venue.
And we go in there, dude, and like we're trying to get booze, and like we're waiting for someone to come in or whatever, and we can't drink the fucking booze inside the church.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
Makes sense.
Lousy
Makes sense.
God. But like, we're trying to like, and then he starts and we're like, fuck the booze, chug, and we like run over there.
Yeah.
And we're standing up, dude. Like everything's filled. Like he was lucky. He was sitting down. He got there early. We're kind of rushing to get in there, and Maxx, Martin, me, and another friend of ours, we have to like we're upstairs in the kind of balcony area, and we're like standing up or sitting down any way we fucking can. And dude, that whole place was silent,
Yeah.
and it was gorgeous. Like it was just he was getting lost in what he was doing, and you got just as lost.
Yeah.
There was no one ever there was no one saying a single fucking word.
It was beautiful.
It was
I mean, it was like, not to be
One jerk off
overdramatic,
tried
it was
clapping.
amazing. It was just like I've never seen that many atheist people be quiet in a church. And they were just wrapped. It was, you know what's crazy? It was like it was like truly a church experience. You know?
Oh
They
yeah,
were just, like-
definitely.
and I mean,
That's
like,
so funny.
yeah, and he's just there, and he's like, running from instrument to instrument and building this cacophony.
Man,
Yeah.
you guys are lucky.
And dude, let me tell you, because it's great. Like, one of my favorite things to do is just hear an artist live for the first time with zero expectation, just completely dry. I love to just go in there. If a band's releasing a new album and they're going on tour, I will. If I know I'm gonna go see them, I'll like purposely won't listen to it on record because I want to hear them like do it live.
sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And I don't even think I'd heard Nils from name before I saw him, and then to go see him in this, one of the most beautiful venues I've ever been in, and then to watch him do that, it was great. It was fantastic. And then great crowd. You couldn't ask for a better crowd because literally as soon as he was done, everyone was uproarious in their applause and everything
About
like
the
that.
experience.
But yeah, just totally dialed in. It was fantastic.
Sounds touching.
Bourdain would have been proud.
That's like that's a fucking like dream though. It's like
For sure.
you watch that guy, even if you just see his videos on YouTube, like his live videos and stuff like that, everyone is quiet as fuck in those shows. And you see this guy get completely lost, and he has an entire playground.
Yeah.
He has all these instruments. He's got his organ, he's got his piano, he's got his fucking like wall of synths, like patches and all that. And you're just like,
Yeah, it's like a whole
Yeah.
modular board, and he's just like plugging
he's
away.
doing
And
all that
it's
shit.
Fantastic.
and he's just able to like this one does that shit at home.
Yeah.
He does that shit at home probably at the same fucking speed, and he just gets lost and is truly in his element, and everyone gets to experience that.
Yeah.
It's like to some I mean, dude, I feel like that's the fucking dream, is to be able to play a show the way like you feel it in your element, like when you're with your band and you guys are just feeling the fucking music you're playing,
For sure.
and there's no one else there. There's no one else there. That's how, like, I would love that.
Yeah.
But I'm so fucking aware when other people are there because they don't shut the fuck up. And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's like, I get it, dude. You guys don't dig the music. Okay, that's fine. Not everybody digs
But
it. That's
also
fine.
too,
but-
we gotta find some badass light people
yeah,
that can just
That's
do
true.
some,
You
some
know, that's
tight
a-
shit.
Yeah.
I'm sure that fucking helps.
It does.
Yeah.
Because like everybody's attention span's so like minuscule
that's very
now
true.
that they're
That's
like,
very true.
oh, pretty,
Shiny lights.
shiny lights.
Yeah.
That's because when I went to go see Azure Ray for like the first time in years in January. It was at the Lodge Room, and like they were playing the most Orenda. No, it was Maria Taylor. Openly, like
I love you, Maria
right before playing November, she talks about the song, like, oh, this song was written about the time, like, you know, I found out that like my partner at the time had died.
Damn.
Crowd in the back talked over the entire set, and she's like, you know, like you know, you have this emotional music, and like she's telling this story throughout, and it's just like, what the hell?
Yeah, dude. Like, have you no shame?
And people on their phones.
You almost wonder, like, are they even? Cause you know, when you go to a show like Nils Fram or whatever, it's like true fans.
Yeah,
and then you have like friends of friends that are there, and they kind of like, eh.
Yeah.
But
I feel like there's some people that just are just out there to, you know, to be part, you know, back to the social media thing.
Just to post that I'm at a show right now.
I'm in the scene,
sure.
like I'm at this like cool indie thing going on, and even though I don't give a shit about the band, but like I'm here because I'm art.
that's like Anyway. I'm gonna pee real quick. I'll be right back.
Do you guys have you guys played anything? How was the festival you guys played?
Oh,
It was last week, I think. Right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I was awful.
What?
No, it was it's one of those things. That's another thing too. Is like we're very lucky to get on any shows because it's one of those things, and I've talked about it before, where it's like people don't know where to place us.
Yeah.
For sure.
You know, so it's like we have to try somehow to curate a show sometimes, and we don't like to do that. We haven't done it in a while.
Yeah.
You know, because it's at the same time, it's like we don't even know what the fuck to put with us. You know,
Right.
that's gonna make like a solid show where there's gonna be solid turnout.
Yeah.
To you, sir. Jesus, the beer. Excuse me, pardon. Better than.
You fucking Pizza Planet.
Anyways, so these people threw this giant fucking thing, and it's supposed to be their 10th anniversary festival, right? They've been doing this for 10 years.
10 years.
They followed
Oh
me,
yeah.
Oh, they did?
and I was like, why?
Right? So they closed down a portion of Bolsa Chica Beach in Huntington,
Okay.
right? And they had a whole thing. They had this stuff that was like, bring your own yacht. Like, they had this huge thing where they thought they were going to get a fuck ton of fucking people.
It was like Firefest.
Pretty much.
Oh no.
Pretty much, except that we got free beer.
Okay,
Okay, so that makes it worth it.
Coming for them shots.
I literally think there was, like, not even exaggerating, maybe 3 people watching us.
Really?
Yeah.
Ugh, that's such a...
Which was like, but it was dope to be on like a big ass stage like
Yeah.
that, you know. And it was like the sound was like pro, and we were like, oh shit, this is nice. And it was like too bad only 3 people got fucking
Well, at the
rocked.
same
It's
time,
like
we
my
were
homie,
second.
yeah, it was like my homie Dave, like right back there, like
Yeah.
finished the song.
And there was a
you
couple
just hear,
people
like,
chilling by the yoga mats going,
Have you seen that movie Yes Man?
yeah.
Where she points out the crowd and she's naming them?
Oh, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I love that part.
Hey
yeah.
Frank, good to see you. Yeah.
Hey
That's how-
Betty, how you doing? Or whatever. It's like, what? That's real, people.
That's very real shit.
That is
That's
real.
real shit.
I also feel like that's how it is in LA. A lot of venues are like that too. It's like
Yeah.
you could play a really good venue and you have like 15 of your friends show up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
straight up. And then you'll never play that venue again.
No.
Because they'll be like, you son of a bitch, you lied. You said you had a draw. We're going back to pay to play.
You believed me.
Yeah.
So it was a real dumbass.
And that's the thing, too, is that, like, no one, there's no such thing as promoters anymore.
No, everything is like they want to capitalize on it on every band.
That's
you
why
know?
that's fucked up.
Yeah.
So look, so I used to play in this other band, and this the singer in the band, he was a promoter.
Oh.
Now it was a catch-22 because since he was a promoter, you know, we played like dumb shit. Like, you know, we played like nightclubs. Like I remember we played this one place in Hollywood where, I shit you not, I had to take all of my bass gear. There was a parking lot in the back. You go in the door. You had to go downstairs like 2 flights, then upstairs to wind up at the back of the stage. And this was because they just don't have bands play there.
Yeah.
The DJ gets there, you know, middle of the day.
Yeah.
He sets his shit up, and that's what they're used to and everything. It was I think the place is called Supper Club. But
I
it's
feel like I know what that
because
is.
it's like, you know, like it's probably like there's probably a lot of World Star videos that involve Supper Club, like people. Chris Brown gets into a fist fight like mid, you know, but I always thought that was interesting because like we would play shows that were packed, or he was the singer, nightclub promoter, or whatever, was able to pack the shows because that was his job, right? So he gets paid by bringing heads into the door, and these DJs and whatever. Not only do they not have to promote, but they're playing for new ears every time they play.
For sure.
Right? You know, we do the job of a promoter, and we say like, you know, you hit up your friends and you blast social media, and you just try to get people to come out.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, a promoter is going to be doing that footwork for you, and then you go there. Guess what? You get paid, and you're playing to people who haven't heard you before.
Yeah.
And it's like these nice, like impressionable ears. Now, the reason why I say it was a catch-22 was that crowd was like, oh, that's cool to see like a rock band live, but since that wasn't their thing, they weren't going to then go like check us out and buy our shit or whatever.
Anywhere else, yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I do agree, like promoters don't exist outside of like hip hop or like
Yeah.
EDM or like pop music. But it's crazy because like you can see how that that like motif works, and then yet no one takes that into, you know, genres where
For sure. Where it could
like other
benefit.
genres. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like everyone is concerned about the party.
Yeah.
They're concerned about the party, not
And
about
bar sales.
exactly.
True.
Yeah.
Bar sales, party, not about the art being presented.
I mean,
And because not everybody sees what they're doing as art.
for sure. And I have like a couple promoter people that I know that are solid, and they really try to put like smaller bands on a bill. But one had told me straight out, like, you know, bar sales are king in this world right now.
Yeah.
And so if you
That's what keeps
can't
the place
make,
open.
yeah, for sure, that's what pays everybody. So he's like, I can only put so many bands on a bill that aren't going to draw. Like, I know that are going to draw, like, maybe if we're lucky, 15, 20 heads, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, I understand the struggle where they're coming from, but it's also just, like, it's sad because we live in a time where, like I said, like, back in the day, Chain Reaction, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it was just known as the venue to go to.
Yeah. Showcase
I gotta-
theater.
Yeah,
There you go,
Showcase
Toronto.
Theater. I used to spend so many days there in Corona.
Smart City Grinds.
Oh,
it was
dude.
just using the
Oh,
book
Smart
shows.
City Grinds in Alhambra, right? Was that Alhambra?
That was in Azusa, I think.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
I obviously didn't spend a lot of time there. But yeah, like you, and then you know what used to be really big back in the day too? Satellite.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Yeah,
Yeah.
big time. When it was like Spaceland.
Yeah, when it was
Right,
Spaceland.
yeah.
Oh, I fucked that up.
I think they're coming back though.
Well, they recently denied us.
Yeah.
Did they
I don't know if
really?
that's true though. No, I don't think that's true.
I think that was the band that was trying to book us.
AJ Froman.
Ding.
Oh,
Burn.
okay, you called out.
Bye, AJ.
Sorry, no one's listening to that.
Hippie motherfuckers. You give a shit.
That's so funny.
No, but yeah, it's like it's just this fucked up thing. It's like, but that's the thing too, is like the reason why they're not getting fucking bar sales, and the reason why all these people, promoters or whatever, they're worried about the draw and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But what the fuck are they doing to make that place interesting?
For sure.
What the fuck are they doing to make that show unlike any other show? They're not.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the people who promote places, you know, smaller places, like, you know, the people who used to promote DBA or whatever,
Yeah.
and all that shit. It was like,
whatsoever, yeah.
it's like, fool, all you were doing is getting a bunch of bands saying, hey, do you want to play here? And they'd be like, yeah, I'm free. And then not giving a fuck about sound, not giving a fuck about the fucking ambiance of anything, you know, not giving a fuck about anything. Like, some of the best shows that have been at DBA that I've been to, honestly, were done, you know, when like Moon Ensemble was like
Well,
playing
yeah,
those shows.
because they were like,
Because-
we're gonna release confetti and we're gonna turn the lights off and we're gonna
Yeah.
get somebody to do visuals.
For sure.
Exactly. They would get Rad Pro to do the sound. They would get Monovision, whatever, to do visuals and
Yeah.
all that stuff. And it was like they would make a party.
Right.
You know, it wasn't just I'm gonna go see a 3-band or 4-band bill,
Yeah.
and that's it. But go
Yeah,
ahead.
well, this sparks back to something we talked about earlier, but maybe it was when you guys were talking about your whole team.
Yeah, you have to like. I think that's an element that's lost in translation in a lot of different genres. Is that although like you essentially are trying to make it, like everyone is, you know, and so there has to be somewhat of a community that's established, and a lot of times we see like little groupings of musicians that cluster together, and then they like slowly propel each other, you know. Or and the same thing goes for artists too. Like you have an opportunity to collaborate with other artists, take it, you know. Like if you get that opportunity and you meet people that do these things where they do lighting or they do drawing or they do video, you know, like take it, because everybody's struggling, you know. Everybody's trying to make it in this industry, and the industry is a beast. It'll eat you alive. And if you don't have like a solid foundation, you don't have a solid team of people, then not only
Excuse me.
oh my god, then not only that you can rely on to show up, you know, because that's really all it is. It's showing up and doing what you said you were gonna do. And so it's like, and trying to, at least you're not always gonna get the end result that you wanted, but if you have people that show up and try,
It's like a fun high school project all over again.
yeah, you know. And it's funny
But
because
everyone's trying.
yeah, but
but
everyone's
everybody's
trying.
They stand to make money if they do.
Yeah, they can make money or they can make something rad, and I think that
Right,
making something
right.
rad is more important, you know.
Absolutely.
And so it's like, just try to like network with people. I'm talking to the people who are probably listening to this.
Yeah, yeah.
No, absolutely. By all means, go for it.
Yeah, like
These are who we're trying to reach.
yeah. And I think that if they can establish that, they'll get farther than they would if they think they could do it on their own. You can't do a lot on your own.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do a lot, but you can't get that far on your own. You always have to have a solid team. And if you look at the hip hop community, that's something you can learn from the hip hop community.
Yeah.
Like they always attribute to their team. You know what
Most
I mean?
definitely.
Like it's just something like there's different artists, and you'll never hear an artist that says, "I did this on my own," unless it's
my
Kanye.
weed handler hooked me up.
Exactly.
Well, it takes a village.
That's right.
It does.
Whole lot of gang shit.
Yeah.
A lot of gang shit.
On that note, I mean, I think that's a great place to
To end it.
end it.
Wrap
Find
it up right
friends.
there.
Find friends,
friends.
collaborate. People,
Yeah,
even if you don't like people, I don't fucking like people.
for sure.
People,
Have a weed handler.
but
Don't handle
they're
that shit
important.
yourself.
Well, okay.
Get a dog.
Go ahead, Jerry
Well-
Springer. Final thought us right now.
Wow. I never watched that show.
Oh,
That was awesome,
Um,
though. I just love the
No,
final
I just
thoughts.
was like,
Final thought.
I was like saying that, you know, don't be afraid to like truly be an artist, even if you're not gonna
Yeah.
like call yourself that. Be an artist in the sense that you do what these guys do and make a fucking show. You
Yeah.
know, like make it something that means something to people, that is dope. You know, like work on it, make it cool. It's never ending. You know, you make the music, you fine tune it, you perform it, and you have people that are making visual stuff for it. But just make it something that, I mean, that's the lane we're in. You know, is that we're making. I don't know. We get to have fun. We get to make cool shit,
Yeah.
and just go full force with that. Don't stop.
Yeah.
do
And-
that. And fucking hit us up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then hit
'Cause we
these
want
guys up.
to
And I guess that's you. But yeah, for sure. And I think just like taking the reins on your own thing. Like if you have a vision, find people that believe in it and
Yeah.
are going to help you see it through. And I think if you can have that and at the same time return something to them, you know, whether it just be loyalty to them or like making sure that you can establish like something like an avenue for them to like benefit themselves too, then like take that and drive. You know what I mean? Like if you get that opportunity, like you should seize it, because it doesn't come for everybody. And I think that if you do get some recognition with what you're doing, like share the wealth, man. Like there's a lot of
Most
people
def.
out there
Yeah.
that need help too, like making their projects stand out, not fall like to blind ears, or not blind ears. Blind ears.
Blind ears.
That's our cue. We're out.
The new EP by Twin Oaks.
That's where I
Blind
go.
ears.
Bye, guys.
Fuck the secrecy. Collaborate. You know, like fuck all that.
Yeah,
Anyways, thank you guys so much for coming through.
for sure.
Thank you for having
We
us.
love you guys.
This
is fun.
You're leaving him hanging.
Oh.
Oh, you're.
Sorry, it's hot. My hands are sweaty. I'm so. Bye. My hands were sweaty. I feel bad.
You're good.